Hello and welcome to one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL train, and you might have noticed, well, everybody knows it now, the FPL relaunched nearly a week ago and I haven't actually done a single video on it yet, and I've not really been following it much in the last week if I'm being honest. I didn't look at the price reveals, to be honest. I weren't really that interested. I've decided to give myself a bit of a break because it's kind of good to get away from FPL for a bit, if I'm being honest. I did the Euro Fantasy Football, and I thought, you know what, I need a break. Especially when I found out 2 days later, FPL was launching. I was like, sod this, I need a break. And I've seen so many guys put like 5 or 6 videos up already. I'm like, man, you're insane. But you know what, fair play, it is probably their job anyway. But yeah, I've decided to finally do a video. Now this is a quick draft, just because I call it a quick draft, pure basically on the fact that I've not looked into this at all. I've literally logged in, created a team quickly, saw that I needed to make a couple of changes because I spent too much money, and that was it. I'm done. So yeah, this is basically just me looking at the pretty much game week 1 fixtures, see what I like, and then we'll go from there. I will look into it more a bit later on, but yeah, for now this is just literally me looking at it, seeing what I like straight away, and then I'll go from there. So goalkeeper wise, my goalkeeper I've got in here, and I'll reveal the bench towards the end, is Jordan Pickford, which you might think is mad, obviously, because I had him last season. I'm sure most people had him last season, and it was absolutely horrendous the start of the season having Jordan Pickford, even though he did actually end up with the most points from a goalkeeper, which is really annoying, to be honest. So yeah, he has gone up to 5 million. He was 4.5 million from the looks of it. So yeah, he's already 18% owned, so quite a lot of people are actually jumping on him as well. He did have an okay Euros. I mean, it weren't great. He did save the penalty, obviously. But anyways, this is all about FPL now, Premier League. And if you look at Everton's fixtures at the start of the season, they're really good, all the way up to game week 12. So straight away I'm thinking, I fancy having Pickford all the way up to game week 12. There's only 3 fixtures that the FPL started saying are difficult, and that's Spurs, Villa, and Newcastle. The rest of them, they're saying Everton could do well with it. And obviously this is a Sean Dyche team who loves to defend anyway. So I think Jordan Pickford already, I'm like, he's one of my favourite options to go and goal. Although he has gone up to 5 million, which, look, normally I do go for 4 and a 4.5 million goalkeeper. I'm thinking of going different this season. You know, sod this going for the same thing every time, going for a cheap goalkeeper. But let's go up a price. Obviously, it sounds a bit stupid because Pickford plays for not a great team, and you know, 5 million is probably not exactly the best price. But some goalkeepers have gone up in price, like obviously the Arsenal guy is now 5.5 rare. So I do like the look of Pickford going to the start of the season against Brighton, first game of the season, and after that it is a good run for him. So yeah, I like the look of Pickford so far. So starting us off with my defenders, and I'm going for a double up on the Spurs defenders. Now, will I go through with this for game week 1? I don't think so, but originally when I did this, you know, I thought straight away to last season, and like Pedro Porro smashed it for me, Udogie smashed it for me. I wouldn't mind having both of these for game week 1. I mean, the first 2 fixtures are Leicester and Everton. Not the worst 2 fixtures, to be fair. Although, do you want to go against the side that's just come up from the Championship? Not really for game week 1. Everton will be interesting to see how they get on the transfer window before. Obviously, if they sell the likes of Bramthwaite, you know, I'll be very happy with what, Spurs have in Everton game week 2. But the main thing is, both of these 2 smashed it last season, absolutely smashed it, and Spurs did really well at the start of last season, so be interested to see if they can do it again. Obviously, Pedro Porro is the much more highly owned guy at 25%, to Udogie, he's literally just, 5.9%, so there's a big difference there. If I go with one, it would be Pedro Porro, to be fair. I would stick with what everybody else is doing, just because how good he was last season, so yeah, I mean, I'm not happy. I mean, I wouldn't definitely, you know what, I'm talking myself out of it. I wouldn't have both of them, but I probably will have one of them for game week 1. I mean, the fixtures after game week 2 in Newcastle and Arsenal aren't easy. Brentford's not exactly easiest than Man United, but yeah, with those fixtures they've got, I probably will go down to 1. But the reason why I put both of them in my head straight away, I thought both of these did great for me the season before, so that's why I would have them in now. Now, my next defender on here is Jarrad Bramthwaite. Now, this one's an interesting one because obviously there's been speculation of him possibly leaving Everton. Well, Everton have said now, obviously with lots of Onana going, that he's not going to be going. And it will be interesting to see what happens to him, because he could end up at Man United. That's one of the teams that he obviously is linked with, or he could go somewhere else. I mean, Chelsea just like to play Well, they like to buy players for fun, so you never know. But for now, he's an Everton player. He's gone up to 5 million. Another guy has gone up in price. Now, I mentioned it with Jordan Pickford. His fixtures going forward are they're really good, to be fair. Like I mentioned, it's just 3 teams in the first 12 games that are going to be difficult for him. Now, it is a bit crazy going for double up on Everton, especially with Everton's takeover problems. They're not really selling anybody. It makes me go, wow, they've already sold Onana. So, yeah, Pickford or Braithwaite, I'd probably just have one of them, to be honest. But even then, I could just stick one of them on the bench, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Braithwaite, he had a storming season last season for Everton, scored 3 goals and got an assist as well. I mean, I did see some of his highlights in, for PSV a couple of seasons ago. He looked good then as well. He's a quality defender. I can understand why Man United won him. I was surprised that he didn't actually get in the England team, to be fair, for the Euros. But yeah, he's definitely somebody on my radar at 5 million. But yeah, he's 12.2% owned. So quite a few people like the look of him as well. And yeah, his fixtures at the start of the season are really tasty, to be fair. My next option on here is Dan Burn on Newcastle. Now, I had the Brad cut a lot last season for Newcastle, and sometimes I did go for a double up on Newcastle. And I worked when I had Trippier, but if it was somebody else, it weren't working. Newcastle did concede quite a few goals last season, but they did have quite a lot of injuries. Now, Dan Burn, to be fair, I am actually quite surprised he is still 4.5. I thought he'd go up to 5, but he hasn't. He's quite high in at 23.6. Will I have him for game week 1? I'm not so sure, to be honest, but obviously the first 2 games is against Southampton and Bournemouth. So they're going down south for the start of the season. Not the worst fixtures to have in the world, to be fair, but Newcastle could change things. They've got that Hall guy who could easily play a position, in his position. Livramento could play in his position. And obviously Botman is out, so I mean, I don't know if he'd be fit for the game week 1, but if that is the case, maybe Dan Burn does go into centre half, but then that will make me fancy more going for somebody like Hall or Livramento instead of going for Dan Burn. With my midfielders then on here, first up, obviously I've gone for Mohamed Salah. I mean, this guy, considering he had a bad season, well, most people would say he had a bad season last season. He scored 18 goals and got 12 assists. I mean, you look at the season before, he got 19 goals and 13 assists. So it's literally just 2 returns less than the previous season, which is insane. 33% owned right now. I'm surprised he's only 33% owned, to be honest, because obviously Erling Haaland's now 15 million. I personally would if I had to pick between these two, I'd rather go for Mohamed Salah. And his first lot of fixtures are really nice. Obviously, the biggest issue with Liverpool, and it's an issue I've got with it as well, is the fact they've got a new manager now. Klopp is gone, so it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool got on. I mean, we all saw, the blowback after Fergie left United, after Wenger left Arsenal. Will it be the same for Liverpool with Klopp going? We'll have to wait and see, but Ipswich first game of the season, you think that's a nice one for obviously Liverpool to start in Salah, and then even then the first 6 fixtures, they've got the likes of Wolves, Bournemouth and Forest. Man United, they've been known to turn over in the past, so they've got a good start to the season, Liverpool. And obviously, their talisman, Mohamed Salah, is obviously the guy we want in our teams. Now, the only issue is he could go to Saudi, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to stay in the Prem, but yeah, we'll see. But I like the fixtures, and he's 12.5 million, so it's not the worst price in the world. So my next option is Cole Palmer, and this guy is 100%. This might seem crazy, I'm saying this already. 100%, he is the guy that's going to be in my team for game week 1 in my FPL team. Now, you might think I'm absolutely mental because Chelsea got Man City at Stamford Bridge. I mean, it is at Stamford Bridge, but he's got the toughest game of the season on match day 1. Now, match day 1, I'm getting mixed up with the Euros there, game week 1. Now, does that bother me? No, not at all. This guy can score against anybody. He scores in Euro finals. The guy had an absolute unreal season last season, 22 goals and 13 assists. Now, obviously, he's not 5 million anymore. He's 10.5. He's more than double than he was at the start of last season. But after Man City, Chelsea's fixtures right up to game week 7, from 2 to 7, is sensational. I can't lie. There's a reason why this guy is 56.3% owned right now. Those fixtures look absolutely insane for him, and I'm 100% going to have him in my team for game week 1. Next up in here, I've gone for Son of Spurs. This is a triple up on Spurs, which is absolutely mental. The chance of me doing that for game week 1 is probably going to be very slim. But yeah, I've gone for Son, and I did mention it before how they did have a good start to the season last season. Could they do that again this season? There is a good chance. Now, this guy is only 10 million this season. So he has actually, I'm pretty sure, has he gone down in price this season? Or has he gone up? I can't remember now. Seasons go so fast. He might have been 9 million actually, but he's 10 million this season. Now, last season he got 17 goals and 10 assists, and he's currently only 8% owned right now, 8.8. Now, the first 2 fixtures are Leicester and Everton. That is tasty. Yes, Arsenal and Newcastle aren't exactly going to be easy, but then after that, I think he'll be alright against Brentford. I think he can score against United and Brighton and also West Ham. And he's only 8.8 million, which is crazy. So originally, when I looked at doing this, I thought afterwards, you know what, maybe I won't go for Son, because I don't want triple up on Spurs. But the more I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking only 8.8% people are owning him right now, and his first 2 fixtures against Leicester and Everton. Ooh, do I fancy that? Last time I think Everton were in the Premier League, didn't he score an hat-trick as well? So, well, he's definitely scored an hat-trick against Leicester before, so it's definitely something to think about. The fact that he's so lowly, well, he's barely owned, is unreal. And obviously, I understand other people are going, probably people like Saka is around the same price, a little bit more. But, you know, Son's guaranteed on penalties, so that is definitely another reason to go for Son. So alongside him is his London derby rival in Martin Odegaard. Now, this is my first Arsenal player, which might be a surprise because obviously Arsenal had the best defence last season, and I haven't put a defender in so far from Arsenal anyway. That could change obviously, but I haven't so far. But this is my first, and I will say only Arsenal player in the team. So I'm not gone for Saka just because he's gone up to 10 million. I did think 10.5 earlier, but no, he's actually only 10 million. I say only, he's 10 million, which is 1.5 million more than Martin Odegaard. Now, when you look at the comparisons, he did actually score, Saka, this is 40 points more than obviously Odegaard. So you can kind of understand it. But I like going for Martin Odegaard at the start of the season. I've had him before several times at the start of the season, and he does get off to a good start of the season. This season just gone, he scored 8 goals and 11 assists. Now, that's not as good as it was previous season, where he obviously scored those 15 goals and got 8 assists. So, fingers crossed he could do better, well, get those numbers like he did, you know, in the 22-23 season. But the reason why I've gone for Martin Odegaard is just purely based on the fact that he's 1.5 million cheaper than Saka. They do seem to switch it around with penalties, which is annoying, but you know, the fact is that sometimes Odegaard could take those penalties, and the start of the season is not exactly the worst. I think it's always probably a good time to go for Villa at the start of the season before we get on a good run. And it's going to be interesting to see how Villa do without now Douglas Luiz. I think he's going to be a massive loss to Aston Villa. So it's not the worst fixture to have, obviously, for Arsenal. Obviously, game week 1 is Wolves. It's not going to be easy, but I think they'll win that one. Then they also have Brighton. Then they do have the tough games in 4 and 5 against Spurs and Man City. But then after that, they've got a couple of nice games afterwards. But look, he's 16.8%, should I say, currently owned right now. He's had a couple of good seasons. He's Arsenal's captain, and he's probably my favourite option to go for currently right now. And that leads me on to my final midfielder. So this formation is a 4-5-1, which is completely crazy compared to the season before. But the team that I've done, it just worked out this way. So like I said, will I be doing a 4-5-1 game week 1? More than likely, no. But I really do like this 5-man midfield that I've got. And obviously the last option is Anthony Gordon. The guy had an absolute unreal season last season. He's obviously gone up in price as well. He's now 7.5 instead of 6. But yeah, 11 goals and 16 assists last season was absolutely insane. By far his best season. His best season before that was only 4 goals and 3 assists. So he's absolutely smashed it. Like I said earlier with Dan Burn, you know, the fixtures for Newcastle start. Southampton, Bournemouth down south. Pretty decent, to be fair. Then he's got Spurs in game week 3, and that is at home. And we all remember him at home last season. So yeah, I mean, the fixtures aren't the easiest, but he had such an unreal season last season. Disappointing he didn't get enough game time in the Euros, so maybe he's got, you know, Well, I expect him to be well rested because of that, but I do think he's going to get off to a decent start. He is so 37.3% owned, which is actually putting me off him a little bit, if I'm being honest. Because the one thing I want to do this season is have a lot of differentials, because too many people have got the same players right now. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be looking at probably going for Haaland, Saka, Salah, obviously, Foden, who obviously you might have noticed that I've not put in this team. Now, I'm not going to lie, will I have Foden in Game Week 1? Maybe. I mean, the fact is, well, I'm going to say it now, I don't actually have a Man City player in this team. Yes, that is nuts. I am nuts. But like I said, this is literally just a quick draft, and I'm just quickly scanned it. And because I don't like Man City, I find it hard to pick them. But I will more than likely have a Man City player in my team. But for now, I do like that midfield. The one change I probably would do would be Anthony Gordon, just because I'm not confident on his fixtures, to be fair. But I do like the others, and Sons are obviously a 50-50 one for me. And finally then onto my strikers, or should I say striker, and that is Højlund and Man United. So it might be a massive surprise. Obviously this isn't going to be guaranteed. So the big ones that I've not gone for, obviously, I've not had a Watkins, I've not gone for Haaland, Havertz, Solanke, Isak, maybe even you could say Jackson, Darwin Núñez. I've not gone for any of them. I've gone for Højlund just because so far it sounds good coming from Man United right now. Things sound good, all positive. Although they've not signed an attacking player for me that I'd like. I mean, obviously they've got a new striker in, which is obviously a problem in terms of Højlund's minutes, but Højlund did need some rest at times. And he did have a bad start to the season last season, but he did end up with 10 goals still and 2 assists. So I do think he's going to do even better. At the start of the season, got Fulham and Brighton. I do like those fixtures, to be fair. Liverpool away is not great, but the fact that you can now have 5 free transfers, or you can stay up to 5, I can easily have 3 by Game Week 3 against Liverpool. So I could just take him out then. But yeah, it is a gamble. But I do like I said, I like what I'm hearing from Man United. We'll have to see if I go through with it. I probably won't, in all fairness, but I just, like I said, I just went for him because I like what I was hearing. He's only 7 million as well. Now this team is 7. Well, I have 0.5 million in the bank, so I could easily just change that around and go for, like, say, Darwin Núñez, who's 7.5 million, maybe even Nicholas Jackson, or maybe even Alvarez, who is cheaper, but obviously we're not sure on his minutes. There's no point now going for somebody like Mateta, because he's going to be playing in the Olympics at the start of the season, so that wipes that one out. Now Solanke, I don't fancy him, if I'm being honest, so that's why he's not in here at all. But yeah, I do like the look of Højlund, but you know, this is a difficult spot to go for. Do I just want one forward? Probably not. I probably would go for maybe a second one at least, or maybe even a third. But yeah, those are the starters. The bench options, I've gone for Hermansen and Leicester City in goal. 4.5 million, starting goalkeeper for Leicester. The start of the season ain't great for Leicester, first 4 games, but after that it picks up a bit. I could possibly bring it in for Game Week 7 because Everton have a tougher fixture against, who was it? I think it was Newcastle they have, whereas Leicester have an easier fixture. But I could easily change that to a 4 million goalkeeper. But for now I've got a 4.5 million just because they're both these goalkeepers then start, and you know, it saved me from a headache if something happens down the road. My defensive player, I've gone for Cucurella here. I put him in just because I had him at the end of last season, and he actually did really well for me at the end of the season. He got some points for me that I wanted. He's coming back off now, an incredible Euros for himself personally. Obviously the biggest issue is now Chelsea got another new manager. Will he start, or will he put Ben Chilwell ahead of Cucurella? We'll have to see, but I've got to say, the fact that he has such a good Euros, I reckon he's going to be starting more than Ben Chilwell. I mean, like I said with Cole Palmer, this is the reason why Cucurella's on the bench, because he's got Man City. But after that, if he starts, his fixtures are pretty decent, to be fair, and he's only 8.7 million. So he's got, obviously, not a high percentage wise, but yeah, he's definitely somebody that I've got my eye on. But I do also like his teammate Reece James, who's a little bit more, I believe. I'll just double check that now. But Cucurella, I think he's gone up. I think he was 4.5 million last season, so he has actually gone up, to be fair. But I do like Reece James as well, who is, I'm just checking now, 5 million. So he's actually the same price as well, but you never know when this guy's fit. And obviously he is actually suspended at the start of the season because he got that sending off right at the end of the season, which was stupid by him. But yeah, That's my defensive substitution. And my 2 strikers I've got on here. Tom Cannon of Leicester City. Now, he's 4.5 million. Will he start? That is the big thing, because obviously they've got Daka and Jamie Vardy. Now, Jamie Vardy is obviously a lot older now. He's in his late 30s, so I do think he'll be on the bench. It's between Cannon and Daka, and I really hope Leicester choose, well, should I say new manager at Leicester, what's his name? Steve Cooper chooses Cannon ahead of Daka. Daka is not that good at all, in my opinion. I've watched him several times, and I think he's naff. Tom Cannon could be an interesting pick, and that is why he's definitely something to look at. Look, like I said, I probably will have definitely 2 starting strikers, but I mean, a decent price as well. But Tom Cannon for a 3rd striker is actually a pretty decent shout, to be fair. So that is why I've gone for him. Obviously, his first games against Spurs ain't going to be easy, so he probably would be on the bench for the first 4 game weeks anyway. But yeah, he's definitely somebody I'll have my eye on this season. And that leaves me finally with Ladapo, I think his name is, of Ipswich. Look, don't know anything about him, for being honest. It was 4.5 million. That's the cheapest you can get for a striker. So I've got him in. Look, will he do well? I don't have a clue. I don't even know if he starts. I don't really know the Ipswich team that well, if I'm being honest. But yeah, he's just in there just to, make the numbers up, really. So yeah, that is my quick draft team. Probably not a quick video, but yeah, let me know what you think of this team. And let me know what you think, let me know what your team is for the start of the season, what you're thinking ahead of the season. Let's face it, for me personally, will this be my team for Game Week 1? Absolutely not. But I can see 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5 players being in my team for Game Week 1. So yeah, let me know what you think of this video. Don't forget to like it as well. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.